today for Ask a Lawyer Live. My name is Megan and I'm with Avvo, and today we're going to be talking about personal injury. So as we get started, I just want to point out you should see on your screen the presentation, and as well you should see a portal where you can write in your questions. So how this will work today is we're going to provide a brief presentation on personal injury, and then if you do have a question, please type it into the module on your screen, and then we will address that question at the end. So to get started today, just want to first introduce our lawyer who is on the line with us today. His name is Mr. Chris Davis. And Mr. Davis has more than 15 years of experience as a personal injury attorney in Seattle, Washington. He actually has his own practice here in Seattle. And he has won many notable verdicts against insurance companies such as Allstate and others. So he has a lot of experience in this field and is going to be a great resource today. So so there's Mr. Davis on the screen now. You should be able to see him. And so as you can see, he's also authored several books. And one of them today he's going to focus on is the 10 biggest mistakes that can wreck your car accident case. So with that, again, thank you for joining. Please do put your questions in. We'll address them. And I am going to turn it over to Mr. Davis.
Well, thank you, Megan. I am happy to be here, and welcome to everybody that's come on. Before I kind of get to the information in one of my books, I thought I would just start out generally and discuss, some of the common issues or questions that I get from prospective clients who have either been injured and think they have a claim or have questions about whether they have a claim, and then I'll talk about a little bit about insurance policies and what to look for and the differences between a third-party policy and a first-party policy, and then also talk about important things having to do with settlement, how to prepare an effective settlement demand and what the insurance company typically looks for. And then I'll talk about the information in my book. It is true that I've written a handful of books now, and one of the biggest or most popular books that I have right now is called The 10 Biggest Mistakes That Can Wreck Your Case, and we probably get at least 200 to 300 requests per month for this book. So I know it's useful, and I know people have given us, lots of people have given us positive feedback about it. Let me just first start off about, the number one question is whether a person actually has a personal injury claim, and by that I mean, does a claim exist where there may be an obligation by the other person or other corporation or a governmental entity to pay you compensation for injuries that you have received? And legally, there are 4 elements that have to be met. Those elements are duty, the breach of a duty, causation, and damages. And I don't want to get too complicated here or too legalistic, but essentially you've got to show that another person or entity was negligent. And many people don't understand what negligence means, and it's just a fancy word to mean that someone or some person or corporation has acted carelessly. So if you can show that another party failed to exercise ordinary care, and as a result, because of that conduct or because of that omission, you were injured and you've sustained damages, then you do have a personal injury claim. Many cases that we handle, it's very easy to tell if a personal injury claim exists. For instance, car accident cases, probably the #1 type of personal injury claim, and usually you can tell whether one of the rules of the road were violated. But in other cases, like a trip and fall or maybe a medical malpractice case, it may not be easily determined. And so in those types of cases, there might be additional investigation that might be required. Now, assuming you do have a claim, the next important question is there insurance to cover damages? This is a very important question because even if you do have a claim, if the other party doesn't have an insurance policy in place that would cover the loss, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to collect damages for that claim. Many people ask me, well, can't you sue the person, take them to court, and try to go after their personal assets? The short answer is yes, but that's an enormous amount of work and effort, and there is no guarantee that if you are successful in a trial that the person has sufficient assets to pay a verdict. So most personal injury lawyers are not going to accept a case unless there is a policy at play here. There's a difference between the types of insurance coverage that may apply. We've got what is typically called a third-party policy. That is the policy that is held by the defendant or the alleged negligent party. That insurance company only owes a duty to its own insured. That means that the insurance company for the other person can deny the claim, can stall, can delay, can refuse to answer your communications, or refuse to answer a settlement demand. And legally, they are within their right to do so. The second type of policy is what we call first-party insurance policy. That's a policy that you, the person bringing the claim, has. And typically, that might include your own auto policy, like PIP benefits, which stands for personal injury protection benefits, or a private health insurance policy, or a disability policy. With first-party insurance policy claims, it's almost always advisable to seek the benefits that those policies allow you for damages that are attributed by the other party, because there are special rules in place that obligate that insurance company to act promptly and to handle your claim with care. So, for instance, in an auto accident, the other driver is going to probably have their own policy. You're going to have your own policy as well. And typically, most people have what they call PIP, or personal injury protection, which allows for no-fault medical. Typically, it is advisable for you, the claimant, to make a claim under your own policy so that your medical treatment is paid for timely and promptly, so your bills don't go to collection. And if they don't pay, if your insurance company does not pay, then there are regulations in place which can provide you with some enforcement mechanism to make sure that they're timely meeting the responsibilities. Again, the other party's insurance company really has no obligation to pay your medical bills or to pay you even a settlement if they don't believe a claim exists or if they don't believe a sizable or valid claim exists. So those are the two different types of policies that are usually at play in a typical personal injury case. The third topic that I'd like to cover has to do with settlements and the importance of documentation. Insurance companies are driven by documentation. What that means is if you are making a claim for damages, the elements of your claim have to be supported by documents, oftentimes independent documents. So for instance, in a car accident case, the insurance adjuster is going to want to see a copy of the police traffic collision report or the officer's report or witness statements that the officer may have taken or witness statements that maybe you have taken, because that is important to establishing negligence or liability for who caused the accident. The adjuster is almost always going to need that important piece of information for the file. The second